This video is intended to be the first in a series of videos that I plan to put together that is going to take a look at the various traditional Kobudo kata that we have from different systems such as Ryukyu Kobudo, Yamane-ryu, or Mariyoshi Kobudo, and looking at how some of the movements and principles and concepts within those kata can be applied in a more practical manner. There's been a lot of work done here, I would say, within the past decade with pioneers, or people I consider to be pioneers, such as Patrick McCarthy Hanshi, Ian Abernathy, who have taken a look at a more pragmatic and practical look at our empty-handed kata, so kata such as basadai, the heian, pinan kata, so forth, and using them in a manner that more aligns with practical use. So the katas are being used, are looked at as being not necessarily a martial artist versus a martial artist perspective, but an aggressor and a victim, which is more along the lines of what the kata was made for. It was never meant to be used in a ring, in a sport, that sort of thing. And I'm making the argument that Kobudo kata can be used in the same way. I'm going to focus on the bow for the first part of this series, just because it's a more, while I don't expect people to be walking down the street with the bow, the shape, size of the weapon basically matches a lot of different other implements that you might find yourself carrying, a long umbrella, for example, different things that you might find yourself using that can be implemented and used as a weapon. So the first bow kata that I'm going to look at is Shiho Nuke. It's a Mariyoshi kata. And as I said, I'm going to take just sections out of some of these various kata because there's a lot of redundancy across the various, 50, 60, 70 different traditional Kobudo kata that are out there. There's a lot of redundancy of technique, a lot of redundancy of principle, so I'm hoping that by taking just sections of some of these kata, you'll be able to see where they match up. But I will be talking about which kata I'm specifically pulling them from, but again, some of these movements exist in more than one kata. The first movement that we're going to look at here from Shiho Nuke kata has us making a tate uke this way, so a vertical, in quotations, block here, another one to the right, and then pressing down with the bow here. And now a more traditional Kobudo kata might look at that and say, well, I'm surrounded by enemies and I'm blocking, a strike from someone here, and now the person over here is attacking here, now it's this person's turn to attack, so I'm going to block their thrust or their kick here. And you see that same kind of idea with empty-handed practitioners who will get ready to do their Shotokan kata, and they'll surround themselves by different ukes and have each one of them take their turns attacking. And I don't necessarily agree that that's what kata is for. You're not surrounded by enemies. The kata is meant to be sort of a technical manual for techniques and principles that you can reference. So that said, we're going to go here with my student and look at a couple different ways that we can take, again, this movement here and apply it in a more practical manner. Okay, let's take a look. So here, as I said, we're going to be looking at the movement out of Shiho Nuke kata, which has us coming here, flipping the bow, and then coming to this position here, followed by thrusting down with the bow. And again, more traditionalists who start looking at this sort of thing might think they're surrounded by enemies, and I'm blocking a side strike here, and then I'm blocking a side strike here. Perhaps he's throwing a side strike here. I'm blocking this one, and then hopefully he's going to side strike the other side, so I'm blocking here, and now he's going to thrust, so I'm doing something like this here. And again, because that relies a bit too much on a prescribed attack from him, I don't see that as being very practical. So what we'll look at here is I'm going to have him just throw just a yoko uchi, so side strike here. All right. I'm going to take the exact same movement that I did from Shiho Nuke. So as this comes in, making this exact same block again, I can be various areas on the bow. So ideally, I'd want to hit him right in the hand. All right, to sort of get him to loosen up his grip and possibly drop his weapon. But for the sake of example here, I've got him here. Okay, so now the next movement is this is going to come across here, hopefully hitting him across the chin. Okay. And then this is going to feed. Again, staying nice and sticky. I don't want space here. I want to keep his arm pinned if possible so that I can step around. Again, I'm going to come around his head. And if I can't quite get that, this still works as good as an elbow strike here and then here. Okay? Right now I'm pulling across his chest or his belly. This could also come across the neck. All right? So one more time with the side strike. Let's do the other side, please. Yes. Coming here, again, striking across, feeding this around, okay? Stepping in and pulling in. All right, again, there's so many different variations of how I can apply this. Again, we can come here, this could be here, or it can be straight across the neck in this fashion here, okay? So now I'm going to have him take, this is kind of more of a traditional way of looking at this, where he's got a bow and I've got a bow, but that's not always going to be the case. So I'm going to take more of a less traditional weapon here. So he's got, you know, a short stick or a cudgel. He's going to take just, you know, a big overhand swing here, and I'm going to do kind of the same technique. So again, ideally I'd want to hit him right on the hand, but here we're going to come right here on the weapon, again coming across the face here, so that I can pin and step around to here. Okay, so this is a one-handed swing. So you know, let's say this is maybe more of a baseball bat, so he's going to take more of like the big slam swing here. Okay, again, in, cutting across, here, and here. Okay, so again, as I explained earlier, it's not likely that you're going to find yourself walking down the street carrying a 6-foot bow, at least I hope not. But the technique and the principle can apply to other sorts of implements that you might find yourself with. So for the example that I have for this video is I've got my umbrella, which is a longer umbrella than most people carry. It's this I think called a golf umbrella maybe. But anyway, it works very well for this particular attack, so, or this particular section of the kata. So even this here, coming across, hitting, again, keeping this pin, and then coming here, works very well. Okay. That was the one-handed swing. So two-handed swing, again, same thing. Here, I may want to step off line just a bit, so I'm not on his line of attack. Coming here, hooking this in, and then coming here. Okay. So this is just, again, an example of how we can take some of the concepts out of our more traditional kata, but apply them to modern implements. A lot of people make the argument that Kobudo is kind of an archaic art that doesn't really have any sort of application in everyday life anymore. And while I don't expect that you would be walking down the street carrying a bow or a pair of sai or a kama, I think we can still take a lot of the ideas and concepts out of those kata and use them. So that's where we'll stop. Thanks, sir.